Guys and gals, if you're utilizing the keto diet to get as lean as possible and to get in the best possible shape, then you're doing the right thing. But the problem is, I see a lot of people that get a little bit weary of the keto diet, so they phase in and out of ketosis, worrying that they're gonna lose all their precious, hard-earned muscle. Hey, I'm Thomas DeLauer with Keto Mojo, and today I wanna break down why phasing in and out of the ketogenic diet is actually making it so you're not reaching your goals and could be causing you to feel like garbage versus if you were to just stay in ketosis in the first place. You see, what ends up happening is the ketogenic diet is actually very, very muscle sparing, but people don't always talk about that. So in general, the fitness community or people that are trying to get in really good shape in a relatively fast period of time end up going into the ketogenic diet thinking that they can lose some fat, but then they bounce back into a carb-fueled diet because they get nervous that they're gonna burn up their muscle. Now, this is a very natural response. And usually what happens is when someone starts a low-carb diet, they drop a lot of water weight, and they drop a lot of water inside the muscle as well. So what ends up happening is people that have muscle end up thinking that they're losing a lot of muscle, when in reality, all that's really happening is you're losing some of that intracellular volume for a temporary amount of time. But I understand, it can totally scare you and put you off guard. So in this case, we have to look at the science. You see, beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is the main ketone body that we use for fuel when we're in ketosis, is actually very muscle sparing. And beta-hydroxybutyrate is also what the Keto Mojo meter actually measures. So you can directly measure how much muscle you're ultimately saving by default by looking at how much beta-hydroxybutyrate you have in your system. You see, beta-hydroxybutyrate prevents what is called leucine oxidation. Leucine is your primary amino acid that is associated with muscle anabolism. So when leucine is being oxidized, you're burning muscle. When it's not being oxidized, you're not burning muscle. And beta-hydroxybutyrate, the main ketone body when you're in ketosis, stops leucine oxidation. It preserves muscle. In fact, there was a study that outlined this perfectly. This study was published in the journal The International Society of Sports Nutrition, and it took a look at 26 resistance-trained subjects, and it had them undergo a pretty interesting bout of exercise and diet changes. So what it had them do is it divided them into two groups. Okay? One group consumed a very low-carb ketogenic diet, and the other group consumed a traditional moderate carbohydrate Western diet. And they had them resistance train for a number of weeks in the same periodized fashion, so no changes to the resistance training between the two groups. Well, the results at the end of the study were pretty darn alarming. The ketogenic diet group saw an increase of muscle mass of 9.5 pounds versus the Western diet seeing an increase in muscle mass of 4.9 pounds. So not nearly as much as the keto group. Then we look at overall muscle mass. This was where it got pretty interesting too. The keto group saw a 0.4 centimeter increase in overall muscle mass, whereas the Western diet carbohydrate group only saw a 0.19 increase in muscle mass. That's not nearly as much, obviously. But then we look at one more thing. When we look at the overall fat loss that occurred, it gets really exciting. You see the fat mass decreased by 4.9 pounds in the keto group versus 3.3 pounds in the carb group. So this study showed that a ketogenic diet, when compared next to a carb diet, ended up not only preserving or actually adding muscle mass, but actually burned more fat than the carb group as well. So if this doesn't settle your nerves a little bit, I don't know what will. But additionally, I want to talk about why you might feel kind of cruddy when you go in and out of ketosis all the time. You see, what's happening is you're having these mineral fluctuations. On a ketogenic diet, yes, you lose some water weight and you lose some sodium, and you have to keep that sodium and water coming in. But once you're there, you're stabilized. If you're constantly coming in and out of it, your kidneys don't know what to do. You see, when you have carbs, you have insulin. And insulin tells the kidneys to hold on to sodium. When you have extra sodium, you have extra water. So what's happening is if you're going in and out of ketosis, you're spiking your insulin up and then dropping it down. So the kidneys never really have a chance to play catch up. So your minerals are just all over the place. This is what causes that run-down feeling. If you just give it a go and you stay on the ketogenic diet, you're gonna balance out and you'll find that those traditional cutting woes that you usually get where you feel like garbage, they tend to go away and you get lean and happy. But additionally, we have to look at fat adaptation. You see, if you stay on a ketogenic diet for long enough, your body becomes fat adapted, where your cells learn how to use fat for fuel much, much better. If you're constantly bouncing in and out of keto, you're never getting that benefit. So sure, you'll burn some fat, sure, you'll lose some water weight, but you're never truly teaching your cells to burn fat. And even if you stayed in the keto diet for 6 months and then went out of it, you'd still see a stronger benefit than you would if you were constantly going in and out every couple of weeks. That fat adaptation is critical, and it can shapeshift the way that your fitness future goes for years to come, simply by exercising the ketogenic diet properly. And the way that you can tell that you're in ketosis is by measuring your blood ketone levels. Honestly, it's a fun, gamified way to be able to know how deep of a state of ketosis you're in, how much muscle you're preserving, and ultimately how much fat you're burning. And that's why you want to put trust in Keto Mojo, utilizing their meter to truly take the guesswork out of the equation and know when you're honestly in ketosis and honestly utilizing the most fat for fuel than you could possibly imagine. As always, make sure you're keeping it locked in here with Keto Mojo. Leave that guesswork out of the equation, leave the measuring to the meter, and I'll see you in the next video.